Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex, and look out for Nosferatu. We've arrived at episode 264. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Are we really traveling with the Doctor?
Not really. Well, he's an incognito. It's John Smith.
Oh. All right, I'll buy that. For
Human Nature John Smith.
He was checking on some rumors of some...
Fish vampires?
No. What do they call them? Something wars? Hemovores.
Hemovores, yeah.
That joke would have been funnier if I could remember it.
It was almost funny.
It's almost there. That's my life. Almost funny.
It was almost too clever.
Did you guys have a good week?
No.
I'm sorry.
Too many people died. It was not a good week at all.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got in news?
Now some more sad news. Unfortunately, Robert Banks Stewart has passed away at the age of 84. If the name doesn't jump out at you, he wrote Terror of the Zygons and The Seeds of Doom. Brought us two iconic characters to the show. In the Zygons and in Scorby.
Scorby!
And then there's a Crinoid too, But and he also passed away from cancer, unfortunately. Sad.
I had no idea those were by the same guy.
Tonally, they're very different.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Two stories about a quiet invasion. Pretty much the same.
A giant monster at the end.
Giant monster at the end. Yep. Nope. Strip it away. Pretty much the same story. No.
You can say that for a lot of Who stories, though.
Well, but see, it's all about the hero's journey, Glenn.
Some other happy news. Series 9 has won a Golden Tomato Award from Rotten Tomatoes.
This is a good thing, right?
This is a good thing.
Okay.
You want a Golden Tomato.
The article that...
It's not a Razzies.
When I saw the post... Golden Tomato, and I thought, well, that's got to be good. We give away golden bow ties. There's golden tomatoes. I can see the, and then it was tied with a comment, and I couldn't tell if the comment was a tongue-in-cheek comment, making fun of the people who were chanting it, or if it was a legitimate, yeah. And I went, I was confused. So there may have been some torches and pitchforks. So that's why I was not sure.
It's been voted the best reviewed TV sci-fi fantasy horror series of 2015. On Rotten Tomatoes. And it's 100% fresh, according to that. So high marks for Series 9. It even beat out Game of Thrones Season 5 and Daredevil.
That's impressive.
And Ash vs. Evil Dead.
I guess we did finish that this week.
Is that over?
I forgot about that one. Well, it was only a 10 episode run.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that.
I think it was 10.
It was also voted 4th in the Best Returning TV Shows category. So some awards headed to... quasi-awards headed to the show.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah. Fresh off the heels of the release of The Legends of a Shielder, there's no U.S. release date yet, but in the UK you can pre-order The Legends of River Song. A nice anthology book with tales written by Jenny T. Colgan, Jacqueline Rayner, Steve Lyons, Guy Adams, and Andrew Lane, and Justin Richards edited the entire thing.
Steve Lyons is my Justin Richards for... I like him.
It's going to be released June 2nd in the UK, so hopefully not very long after it will come out in the US.
And that's different from the Diary of River Song. That's a whole
the
different
Diary
book,
of River
right?
Song is the BBC or the Big Finish audio.
That's the Big Finish. Okay.
Yeah, this is. I think that's her first solo book that they've done.
I believe that's right.
So,
She's the author of the Melanie Malone
yeah.
story.
Yeah.
But Well, I guess she's kind of the
ghost
quasi-subject of that, too, but yeah.
But yeah. Well, and that's more based around the actual story as opposed to brand new stories featuring River Song.
Correct.
Big Finish Day number 8 was this weekend. Hard to believe there's been 8 Big Finish Days now. And some big news coming out of that is that for Series 4? In 2017, in the 4th series of The War Doctor, John Hurt is going to be joined by Louise Jameson.
I'm excited about that. So we'll figure out what happened to Leela during the
Time War.
Time War, yeah, because she was left on Gallifrey.
Yeah. And we know she was there when Romana was president. So
my first thought was, what an odd pairing. And then I went, no,
that's a perfect pairing.
That works.
Yeah, they almost need a third companion to balance the two out.
Like, guys, you can't go off and kill everybody. Why not?
You haven't read Engines yet.
No, I haven't.
The War Doctor was still kind of a pacifist.
Still trying to be the Doctor.
Yeah, he was still trying at that time. So.
There's lots of other news out of Big Finish Day 8. If you want to go look it up, some Torchwood news about Series 2, etc., etc. But that was the big headline, in my opinion, was Leela and the War Doctor. And our last bit of exciting news is Time Eddie has added some more guests. They announced that John Peel will be at the convention. Glenn knows who that is because he read his book, one of his books. He is an author who wrote Time Warp Genesis, as well as produced novelizations of early Dalek stories. And he's currently working on a new book about the Brigadier. So he's writing a Lethbridge Stewart book, I'm assuming, coming up.
I wonder if it's a Lethbridge Stewart book or if it's about the Brigadier, like maybe a fictional biopic kind of thing.
I don't know. Fictional biopic kind of thing.
You know.
Okay.
As in the life and times of Lethbridge Stewart, but not necessarily a...
Will they actually film this? Or?
It's a book.
Well, he said
a biography.
Fictional biography.
Fictional biography.
I haven't seen all the future...
You can always tell the man who lives in the movie world.
They're all biopics, Jay.
I have to imagine that when Sean reads a book, it's on a big, giant, flat screen in his head as it plays out.
He is writing...
John Williams does the soundtrack.
He is writing a Lethbridge Stewart novel for Candy Jar Books.
Oh, okay. So it's an
called
official.
The Grandfather Infestation. It is the third set of Series 3. And it will be set during September 1969. And I didn't realize this. The short story we reviewed, The Fright Before Christmas, takes place after all of these. Even the next wave of books.
Really?
Yeah.
It's set...
It's 3.3A according to the website on Candy Jar.
Oh.
They have a nice reading order now on a tab on, if you go to lethbridgestewartnovels.wordpress.com, there's a nice reading order.
I suspect...
Well, in true Traveling the Vortex fashion, we're not doing them in order. So.
Well, but they released it early, so...
I suspect... Well, we're doing the main line in order. I suspect that came about based on a conversation... I'm not sure, but based on a conversation that Keith and Andy were having on Facebook about trying to get things straight. Us trying to get things straight. The Candy Jar Books, they know what the order is.
But
Keith had some questions on
Ben
how
had
things
some questions
fell,
too. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So I think after I asked and then Ben asked, they were like, okay, we'll just post it to the websites. Yeah. So that's a great resource, so check that out. The other guest Time Eddie has added is Peter Davison. Yay!
Finally, I get to meet 5.
I don't feel so bad about not making it to Galley now.
This will be my first Classic Series Doctor autograph that I will personally get. Because Sean's brought me back all the others. So I'm very excited about that aspect.
I'll only have one left after this because, well, of the ones that are still around or come to the U.S.
we should probably pool our resources and send a care package all at the same time. Because you can mail Tom pictures, and he will sign and send them back. And it's one of those things that as soon as I found that out, I went, yeah, I should do that. And I haven't done it yet. So we should all...
Oh, yeah.
We should all do that safe postage. And
yeah, absolutely.
And kind of... We'll knock him out and get him...
Don't knock him out.
We're not going to gas him through the mail. That would be illegal.
Can it be a big...
Besides, how are you going to get him back here?
Only if they catch us.
How are you going to get him back here?
That's the second part of the plan. Mail myself to England.
Please sign this.
I can see. I can see as Tom leans over to sign the pictures. Sean's got this big giant potato sack, puts it over his head.
Butterfly net. Oh, we could meet Andy for tea.
Well, there you go.
Andy's like, no, don't make me an accessory to this.
I get him to sign my book while I'm there.
We should talk to Andy about... Well, actually, we should talk to Karen about getting Andy over here for Time Eddie. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Maybe we should do that.
I'll
We've already put it out there now on the show, so we have to do it now.
I'll shoot Kieran an email.
Yeah, shoot Karen an email. Andy, you want to come to the U.S.?
We're people who know people.
Come promote the Lethbridge Stewart line.
Absolutely.
I bet you could sell a lot at Time Eddie.
Andy, have you ever been to Kansas?
We've got a great Best Western.
Yeah. Well, it was a Best Dressed Western, wasn't it?
We'll take you to breakfast.
I believe so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we really segued here, didn't we? Anyway.
Tom will be there.
Anyway, Peter Davison is definitely confirmed for Time Eddie, and we are over the moon. And
yes.
Chrissy, if you want to come out.
Yeah.
It's in October. You buy your tickets now. Get them while they're cheap. There's a promo code on the website, and then come out.
Speaking of Chrissy, did you get your invitation?
I did get my invitation.
Yes, we did.
Congratulations.
And thank you for that. And we're...
Not congratulations that you got an invite.
We're scrambling
Although
to see...
I don't know, maybe.
We're scrambling to see if we can just make it a road trip, and we'll just rotate drivers. So... I got a new car. It'll make it now.
Oh, yeah. We all have new cars.
That's true. We do all new vehicles.
I might have some availability coming up.
Too bad it's in Sweeps.
Oh, it is right in the middle of Sweeps,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, come on. You only live once.
Yeah.
If we leave early enough, could we get to Utah on Saturday? Probably not.
I guess if we all rotated driving, we could.
We never stop
Just
driving.
sleep- yeah, you just sleep. Two people sleep. One person drives. After 4 hours, you wake the others up. Well, one of the others up. We're doing 4-hour shifts. We could be there.
You guys would wake me up, or I'd wake you up. Good news, gents. We're in Pennsylvania. What?
Sadly, we just left Rhode Island. We did what? Never mind.
I've never seen the sun come up in the west.
Done that in a long time. Doogie dum, doogie dum. All right.
Nobody's actually going to sing it, huh?
Well, let's move on to what would have been feedback, and we don't have any. But
No feedback.
We do want to put something out there. If anybody has sent us feedback in the past week, and we will now saying we haven't gotten any, please shoot us a message on Twitter or something,
Facebook,
saying that yes, I did send something, because we've actually pre-show we've been kind of scrambling with some mail, because
we've discovered that some things aren't working.
Things aren't working on the email end. So if you did send us a feedback this week, knock us a line on Twitter or Facebook, and we can possibly direct message you with a way to get that feedback to us. And we are continually working on our feedback mailbox right now to see if we can figure out what our issue is.
Yes, you can.
It's all Keith's fault. And you can
It's not
send
my
mail
fault.
directly to him.
Oh, that you can.
Well, we've determined it might be the guy who had about 1,500 unread emails in his mailbox. I'm not going to, name names, but it starts with an S and ends with a Sean.
This would be the guy who didn't know he had a mailbox.
The technical Neanderthal.
Technological.
You can also send us messages to the Traveling the Vortex Facebook page.
Yes.
You can send us messages that way, too.
What if they don't have Facebook, Keith? How else can they get a hold of
Well,
us?
they can get a Twitter, like Glenn said. We are on Google+.
If they send it there, we'll probably never read it.
Maybe. Who knows?
What about smoke signals?
That might work. Well, of course, don't forget the Goodreads
Telegraph.
Club. Tumblr. I don't know if you can send messages on Tumblr.
Wadded up Post-it notes.
Paper planes.
Just huck them.
Message in a bottle. Might be kind of hard to get those in Kansas, but... Balloon-ogram.
Hang on, I'm thinking of a way to do that.
Singing telegram. Oh, I challenge somebody. Send us a singing telegram. I will give you Sean's address and the time that we record the next show, so that they can come in here and sing it on the podcast. That would be awesome.
I am your singing telegram. Two cans and a bit of string.
Oh, let's move on to our review. So, The Hobbit. What'd you guys think?
Much more Sylvester McCoy than in anything I'd ever seen from him outside of Doctor Who.
I got a synopsis.
Let's tell that story first. Okay, do the synopsis first.
Synopsis first.
Throughout history, Dracula has filled men's hearts with fear and women's hearts with desire. In this stylish retelling of the classic tale of horror, Frank Langella gives an electrifying performance as the bloodthirsty
Along with
Count,
Sylvester McCoy.
with Sir Olivier as his legendary nemesis, Van Helsing.
And Sylvester McCoy.
The renowned and relentless vampire hunter is seeking to end the Dark Prince's reign of terror over the citizens of Transylvania with the help of Sylvester McCoy.
Co-starring Sylvester McCoy.
He's not even on the box.
He's barely in the film.
Is that the end of the synopsis?
That's the end of the synopsis.
Okay, first of all, dun, dun, dun! Because this was amazing. However,
Have you never seen this?
I'd never seen this.
Oh, okay.
I'd never seen it
Well,
either.
then I'm glad we watched it anyway. Because it's one that everybody needs to watch.
You had seen it or
I
had
saw
not?
it years ago.
Oh, I thought you said you had never seen this,
No,
and
I
that's
had
why
seen
you
this.
pushed for
No.
this one.
No, I saw this one. It was a Dracula film. It had Sylvester McCoy, and I thought... But at the time I saw it, I had no idea who Sylvester McCoy even was, I'm sure. Well, maybe I did, but I didn't... I couldn't remember.
If only you had watched a little more of his run back in the day, maybe you would have recognized
I
him.
remember how much he was in the movie.
So when we were putting this together, and with some of the doctors, or with our Beyond the Doctor series, we've struggled. We'd like to do something that they're actually in.
Like Colin Baker. We
And,
struggle a lot.
and Colin Baker, God love the man, but he just hasn't done a lot of work that's commercially available here in the States that we can, watch. And so we kind of knew with Sylvester we were also going to have that problem outside of The Hobbit. Now, The Hobbit would have been a safe bet because we kind of figured at this point most of our audience has probably seen that film. Some of you more than once. And he, while has a small role, it's noticeable. But Glenn says, well, let me do some research on that because he didn't want to do The Hobbit. And he comes back and says, Dracula, we're going to do Dracula. And he's all excited about Dracula. We're like, is he in Dracula? He goes, yeah. I don't know how much. Let me do some research. So right before the schedule comes out, and I'm like, Glenn, what are we doing? I've got 2 spots for it's either The Hobbit or Dracula. He says, just go ahead and put Dracula on there, and I'll figure out how much he's in it. Okay, so we put Dracula on. And it's not until early this week, after everything's said and done, and Dracula's on it's official. I can't take it back now. It's on there. And I see a post. I don't remember if it was a tweet or a Facebook post from Glenn going, wow, I forgot how much Sylvester McCoy isn't in this.
It was Facebook, I think.
And my first thought was, uh-oh. So we sat down to watch it, and the credits start rolling. And we get through the main names, and then we get down to the with. and there's a whole page full of names, and he's not in that group either. And that's when I went, uh-oh. Now, having said all that, I want to talk about this film because I'm an amazing pedigree. Okay, so we've got John Badham, who I don't know why, but I'm always surprised when I find a new John Badham film that I've not seen. Because
What else has he done?
Well, he did War Games. That's the one I will always go back to as, this is the guy that did War Games. He's done a ton of stuff, and I cannot for the life of me pull any of them out of the ether. But War Games. I'll bet you could IMDb him, and you'll be like, oh man, this guy's done a lot of stuff. But he did War Games. Obviously, we've got Frank Langella.
Short Circuit.
Yeah, there you go.
Saturday Night Fever. Nick of Time. Oh, wait, that one sucked. Sorry, go on.
Don't forget War Games. It's on there.
War Games.
So we've got Frank Langella. We've got Donald Pleasance. We've got Laurence Olivier. This is a great, and Sylvester McCoy. There's a great cast. The story's written by W.D. Richter. Or story or screenplay? Screenplay
The
by
story
W.D.
is
Richter.
written by Stoker.
So, and W.D. Richter is, of course, geek circles. He's synonymous with Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. And technically, the
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Original story that Big Trouble in Little China became. Because Big Trouble in Little China is kind of loosely based on the script that he had for the second Buckaroo Banzai movie. Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League. Hanoi Shannon, the World Crime League. Anyway, so there's a... And then... what was the other... John Williams did the soundtrack, the score.
Yeah.
It was a John Williams score. And I went, wow, there's some big names in this. And Sylvester McCoy. So just during the opening credits, even though Sylvester McCoy wasn't in them, I was pretty jazzed. And then as the movie unspooled, I was pretty jazzed. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Having just watched all the other Dracula films of the original, not the sequels to Dracula.
Because you watched Dracula.
I watched the Universal 30s. I watched the Hammer horror, and I watched the 90s Bram Stoker.
Okay.
And then this is the only one I did not watch. I'd say it's tied for second. After the Bela Lugosi.
After
I think
the
it ties with Hammer. But mostly, the execution in this is phenomenal, and the acting is wonderful. Hammer gets up there because it's a different take on the story, and a different approach.
Yeah.
Than the same story that you see every time they decide to go and adapt Dracula. The elements are there, but the differences are enough that, to me, it elevates it. The direction in this is phenomenal. The color work and the lighting, and the camera is absolutely phenomenal. There are large chunks of this film where it looks like it's black and white, except for some flesh tone that you can barely see, which is amazing. So I didn't watch any bonus features, but I watched a little bit of the bonus features. But I would love to know and figure out why he decided to film it the way he did, because the other ones weren't that way. Yeah. I mean, it's so well done. It's gorgeous. It really is a gorgeous film to look at. Frank Langella's hair. That's what was electrifying. It was. I would give just about anything to have my hair look that good. I'm not going to lie. He walked on the screen, and I love the build. And we haven't seen Frank Langella with much hair for a long time. I think maybe that's why I was so drawn to it, is because it was like, here's Frank Langella with hair. But that's kind of what it was like seeing Bruce Willis in Die Hard for Sarah. He has hair! I love the build because they no bones about it. Dracula, it's in the title. And then the guys are now, where's Count Dracula? Where's that? It's like, oh, we know him already? There's a shipwreck and there's a thing, and oh yeah, we're hauling crates out of the hull of the ship and everything. It's like, well, you guys are just, but where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And they just kind of built this very slow mystery up because everybody knew, oh, here's Count Dracula. But they didn't know it was Count Dracula. We knew it was Count Dracula. You know what I mean? They didn't know what Count Dracula was. Right. So, and then when he finally shows up and steps out of the carriage and it's just the boot and the thing and then the doors open and oh yeah. And it's not until Sylvester McCoy announces him at dinner, Count Dracula, his first line, and takes his coat, that I went, oh wow,
There he is. With hair.
Sylvester?
No.
Well, Sylvester had hair, too.
Sylvester did have hair, too. And still glasses, which I thought was fun. But I genuinely hope that my hair could ever look that good. He had amazing hair in this movie. But yeah, Sylvester was there and took his cape.
You had hair when I first met you.
I did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
It didn't look this good,
And
though.
you had a lot of long hair in the back, too.
Oh, yeah, we don't talk about the 90s Superman days.
Did you rock the mullet?
I did rock the mullet. What was I thinking with that? I know I can tell you what I was thinking. I really wanted long hair. I really, really, really wanted long hair. And I have curly hair. You can't tell because I keep it short. But the moment it gets any length to it, it just goes and it kinks up and it curls. And I kind of have a white boy fro. And it was horrible. And I tried putting it into a mullet, and I just longer and longer and longer in the back and short in the front. I don't know what I was thinking.
Business in the front, party in the back.
I think that statement can be said about anybody who wears a mullet. I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know what I was thinking.
So,
But enough about my hair. Let's talk more about Frank Langella's hair. So yeah, I was real excited. Sylvester McCoy showed up and I went, "He's the butler!" And then he didn't do anything.
he's not really even a
Disappears
butler.
for the longest time.
But then I saw him in one background plate shot in the asylum. And
Yeah, he walked up to do something.
He's the one that comes up and starts cutting Renfield's hair when they first
and then he was cutting Renfield's hair.
put Renfield in the asylum. And he was with the three of them when they were out there doing the autopsy. Well, they were actually cutting her heart out, the one gal, the victim's heart out.
Mina.
Mina, so that she wouldn't come back.
And he let go of the horse. Couldn't hold on to the horse. The horse ran off.
Horse ran away. His
the
other
horse came
line is
back.
shouting down the hall for
That's the best bit of it for him.
what's his name?
gets a-
After Dracula has broke through and kidnapped Renfield from the asylum. So
And thrown coffee or
because
tea
he doesn't
all
have the
over
keys.
No,
I don't have the key.
He was kidnapping Lucy.
Yeah, you're right. He was guarding Lucy.
he was
He
guarding-
had
he'd already
already
killed
kidnapped.
Renfield.
Yeah,
he got the
already
great
killed
responsibility of guarding Lucy, and Lucy gets kidnapped.
Renfield, yeah. Well, he was on the outside of a locked door.
Yeah,
Who
and
knew
they
that
didn't
Dracula
trust
was
him.
going to come through the wall?
He was fighting Count Dracula.
I know. There's no way you could win that.
Something that occurred to me this time watching this through is this is the movie that Mel Brooks borrowed heavily from in his version of Dracula Dead and Loving.
Yeah.
There's a lot of elements of this movie that he parodied in Dracula Dead and
Starting
Loving.
with the boat crossing.
It didn't occur to me until rewatching it this time. It was very familiar to me when I saw Dracula Dead and Loving it. But it really kind of hit me that, oh wow, there's a good chunk of this is what he brought from. He brought obviously from all of the different genres or deviations of the story, but yeah, this one there's a lot to it. Yeah, still not a good movie, but Dracula Dead and Loving.
Oh, yeah. It's got two good gags in that one. Boy, I feel like I'm going to do this as a
So Sylvester McCoy, for what little he was in this movie,
He was phenomenal.
he was great. He
Absolutely great.
if you'll notice, most of his acting in this is very physical. It's
Yes.
very facial expressions. It's very
Which is
facial presence.
something he is very good at.
And yeah, that's about it. That's all I can say.
He can scream at the top of his lungs really well for
can.
somebody.
Running through the asylum.
Good projection. He reminded me a lot of
Radar.
Radar.
From MASH.
he really
yeah.
did.
He
Now
really
that you
did.
mention that, I think it's
Well, I'm
part of-
surprised. I thought I'm going to say Radar because that's what you reminded me of, and you guys are going to look at me like, what? So I didn't expect you guys to agree with me, but that is indeed who he
not
reminded
Some of
me
it's
of.
the glasses.
Well,
he was
some of it is the
wearing.
glasses, but I think part of it is his stature.
Yeah.
Because he's the
Well, I think even some of his
Smaller
expressions,
gentleman in the room.
like some of it's a bit like kind of deadpan, but some of it's also very like reactive. You know,
yes.
like,
Especially when it's one of the shots that kind of pans across a group of people that are not one of the three main leads.
and he stands out.
And he's standing
Yeah.
there, and we're looking for him because it's Sylvester McCoy, but then he just kind of pops because they're talking about something serious, and he's supposed to either react or not react to it, and he manages to kind of do both at the same time. I don't know. It just very, very radar.
I think his outfit was a bit radar too, especially at the end. The asylum kind of outfit that he was wearing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Was he wearing a
I mean, it wasn't a military uniform.
military
No,
uniform?
no.
Oh, okay.
I just imagine that's something radar would wear outside of the military.
Oh, okay.
Strikes his personality that way. I don't know.
We'd have to go to Aftermash to find out, and nobody's really interested in doing that.
I don't often think about what people wear outside of their professions in films, but okay.
Maybe because it was kind of the
Fictional.
brownish.
Fictional.
His fictional wardrobe, not his real wardrobe.
No, not his real wardrobe.
Maybe tonally, visually, it was kind of similar. Even
So
though
what
it
are you
wasn't a
wearing?
uniform.
Just like Klinger wore dresses outside of the military.
He wore dresses inside of the military. Actually, we have to assume that he probably didn't wear dresses outside of the
probably
military
didn't.
Yeah,
because he was trying to get out of the army by wearing dresses.
Eh. The movie was
We're struggling
We're
to talk
really
about this
struggling.
without just reviewing the film
Because the movie
it's
is
really not what it's about. But
I'd be fine reviewing it. The movie was, like I said, with everything about it, the way it was shot, the way the effects work. When the fog's coming in and the mist, and he's climbing down the wall.
Oh yeah,
That shot was great.
the makeup on Mina when she's in the cave and they find her and how horrific she looks is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I remember-
Probably one of the scariest bits in the film.
I
It's
remember-
really not that scary of a film, in my opinion.
no, it's
Most-
subtle.
most
It's
of the
subtle
original
on
Dracula
Yeah, it's subtle on
isn't.
horror.
Yeah,
I remember as a kid seeing this and seeing Dracula crawling down the side. I remember thinking it was so cool.
It was cool.
On this viewing, it just seemed a little cheesy, and I don't know
No,
why
it was
seemed
cool.
cheesy to me. Maybe because I've seen Dracula Dead and loving it now, and maybe that's what makes it cheesy. But yeah, I don't know. There was just something wrong with that. But overall, it's a good film, and it's phenomenally acted.
Frank Langella is great in this. He just conveyed it. And the exchanges between
how
him
early
and-
was this in his career? You guys know?
1979.
early enough he had hair.
A lot of hair.
The exchanges between him and
I
and
honestly
Van Helsing.
can't think of anything he's done before Dracula. I mean, I can think of a lot of stuff he's done after. His most recent thing that I remember was Perry White in Man of Steel.
Robot and Frank.
Or no, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
Robot and Frank.
no, not Man of Steel. He
Man-
was in
Superman
Returns.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robot and Frank.
Yeah, he really he did the Mark of Zorro TV movie. And some other films I don't recognize. So
It's impressive that you can put. I mean, obviously now Frank Langella is Frank Langella, so it's a name. You know, he's kind of become somebody. But back then, to put what apparently is a relatively new guy,
I wonder if he did a lot of theater.
must have. I mean, because in my mind, even if he'd done a lot of theater work and was phenomenal, it's a risk.
Oh yeah,
To put him as Dracula going up against Laurence Olivier. I mean, that's a heavy name.
Yeah.
You know. Never mind the fact that Donald Pleasance is in it, but Laurence Olivier. Sir Laurence Olivier.
Pleasance was a bit of a, I don't want to call a B actor, but he kind of was, because he always did a lot of Hammer films, or he did those types of kind of low tier films.
Well, and he always, don't get me wrong, I love Donald Pleasance, but he always kind of plays the same part in those kinds of films, too. He's always, what's his name? Loomis. He's always Loomis. It doesn't matter what he's in.
Well, except
He's always Loomis.
Escape from L.A. when he was the president.
Hey, he was
That's
Loomis.
quite different. No,
Nah,
I
he
thought that
was
was quite different.
Blofeld, that was different. Loomis was everything else.
Oh, he played Nixon in Frost Nixon, didn't he?
yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
Angela, not
yet.
not
No. Donald Pleasance. I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, just the exchanges that he had with Van Helsing when he first comes to, you know, when he comes to the cemetery to pay his respects, and there's that immediate, the hackles have gone up, and you can tell that Van Helsing thinks something is up with this guy, but he can't quite put his finger on it, but he thinks he knows what it is to put his finger on. And I forget the exact exchange, but Dracula says something to the effect of, well, by your leave. And Van Helsing replies with my blessing. And you can just tell that Dracula kind of flinched. Just like, okay. This is awesome.
It looks like he was Frank Langella. Excuse me, back to Frank Langella. Looks like he was mostly a TV actor before Dracula. In fact,
A couple of films that I don't recognize.
Yeah, I don't see anything other than a handful of films in the 60s, or early 70s. But.
It was nice of him to clean up the house before she came over to dinner, too.
Yeah.
Got most of the cobwebs out of the dining room. That, I think, is maybe a slight failing, which I didn't care about, was just the logistics of it. That, okay, we're sailing from wherever to England, and then...
Transylvania.
Sailing from Transylvania to England, and I'm going to buy the house next door to you guys, and
it looks like a castle.
It looks like a Transylvanian castle
next
to an asylum.
Yes, yeah.
Sure, why not?
It was a little too convenient, but...
There's even a woods.
You just let it. You just let it. You just let it be.
It's Dracula.
There's atmosphere here. We're just gonna allow it.
And apparently nothing else around.
Yeah, well, there was a town
that they never went to, except to get the one guy. Except to get Van Helsing.
Yeah, except to arrive in port and to leave in port.
At the train station. I
was a little shocked at the end that. And this is the Hollywood mentality speaking. That it was a great ending. That he's anybody else root for Dracula in these things?
A little bit.
I always find myself rooting for Dracula because inevitably Van Helsing and the humans. He's just there looking for a woman. He's looking for his queen. I need a bride. I've chosen you. We're going to take you, and I'm going to go away. That's it. I'm not going to curse your family and your household name. I want her. We're leaving. I just bought the house to get her. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing. And then he was going to leave. Now, admittedly, down the road, they're going to make a whole bunch more vampires and Kingdom of Darkness and all that stuff. But, his intentions...
Not to mention the woman he killed previously and turned into...
that was just feeding. But, his intentions are relatively pure at this point. And inevitably, the humans in the Dracula stories are immediately... Grab the pitchforks, let's go burn him out of his house, and, we've got breaking and entering, we've got, it's just, I don't know. I always kind of want to know.
I think part of Dracula. Me always roots for Dracula coming on in my backwards looking at things, knowing that usually there's a slew of sequels, so I know he's going to survive, so I'm going to root for him to survive anyways. And yet, in the Universal, in the horror, in the Hammer horror, at the end of the film, it appears he doesn't survive, and this one he does.
Well, maybe.
It appears that he survives, as opposed to the other ones where it appears he doesn't, and they never made a sequel to this one.
Which is funny, because there's a sequel to the other ones where he appears to die, or he does die.
I don't know. I bet we could get Frank Langella back. Why don't you play Dracula?
He's still making movies, so why not?
No, a great ending where he gets
I'll
gets
tell you
hooked.
Why not? Because Dracula doesn't age, and Frank Langella does.
Well, but... Okay, so spoilers. Here comes the ending. Ready?
So if you don't know how Dracula ends...
Well, in this version. So he gets hooked.
How does that way in every version? Well, no, technically.
This one has a little twist to it.
It does have a twist.
He gets
hooked.
hooked.
And the deaths are always different on now.
I thought to myself, when Van Helsing managed to hook him with the thing, I thought, you're just going to make him mad now.
So did I.
What are you doing? That's not going to work. And he does. He kind of, and he hisses, and he's struggling to get around because he's, tied up in the thing. And then Jonathan grabs the lever, and you realize that this is not just a hook that's hanging out in the bowels of the ship. This is the cargo hook. And so he pushes the lever forward, and the doors open up, and he's hoisted by the hook all the way up to the top of the mast on deck in broad daylight. And I kept waiting for him to burst into flames. Because that's what Dracula does when he's exposed, Even the bat did it. Right? No flames. He just kind of goes, ah! And then spins around, and now he's got some sunburn.
A little blister.
And gray hair.
And grayer hair and
See,
some
that's
more
how they
blisters.
can bring him back.
Good point. I hadn't thought of that.
And then he turns into a kite. And so we don't really know what happens. So yeah, I'm convinced you could get Frank Langella because Dracula at the end of this film kind of looks like Frank Langella does now.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't. I really thought that. I really thought, wow, the makeup department nailed it because that's Frank Langella. There he is, still with too much hair, but I think you could do a sequel fairly easily. So we're convinced he did make it.
I'm convinced he did.
I figured he died.
I'm just
I
curious.
thought the kite was just what was left over. Okay, it wasn't a kite. It was just
Lucy
his-
looked awfully optimistic.
She
that he
did. She looked
survived.
very-
Although she did act
Well,
like
they
she was
they
back
did
to
that.
normal.
They did that '70s horror film twist at the end where the wink at the camera type thing. It wasn't a
Yeah.
genuine wink, but they do this wink of the camera or wink to the audience that hey, this may not be over.
Yeah.
Now, here's the exciting thing. If there's a sequel made, you know who else survived this movie? Sylvester McCoy. He could come back.
Unfortunately, we lost Donald Pleasance several years ago, and we've lost Olivier just recently within the last few years. So, yeah, Sylvester.
I wonder if they intended to make a sequel the way they left it ending.
I was really kind of hoping that Sylvester was going to play Renfield.
I
really
Yeah,
thought
that's
that
kinda-
would have been a good... Yeah, he could do that, and then his name wasn't in the credits. Anyway. In fact, technically, Sylvester
I was
McCoy
pretty sure
was
he
not in the
wasn't
credits at all.
Renfield, just from my memory, but I thought he had a bigger, more orderly part.
Sylvester.
That's what he was.
Sylvester
He was an
McCoy.
orderly.
Yeah.
He was an orderly.
Who?
He was ordered to do a lot of things, including hold horses, announce guests,
Failed that. did good
guard
at that
doors.
took his cape. Count Dracula.
So next
And
time
here's
we
the
see
cape.
Sylvester, we're going to introduce him as the man that can't even hold his horses.
I
Most people
genuinely
wouldn't get it.
I generally wish we.
But he
genuinely-
might.
He might.
Genuinely, not generally. Genuinely wish we had seen this prior to his appearance at Comic Con. Because
Oh,
I'd have
yeah.
asked him what was it like to share the screen with Donald Pleasance and Laurence Olivier and Franklin Jones.
You know what would have been fun is if we just completely ignored Doctor Who,
Just talked about
talked about Dracula. Just pull it out of him.
I was in The Hobbit, you know. No, let's talk about Dracula. Your finest performance, sir.
So Sylvester, we want to know about
Why'd you drop the R?
Why'd you add the R? Maybe was there another actor in England under the Screen
is
Actors Guild, Sylvester?
that's sort of how Peter Davison got his name. There was another Peter Moffat, so
That's how David Bowie got his.
Yeah.
You want to be confused with Davy Jones. True story.
I don't know. That's why his son goes by Jones.
So, yeah, our
His
apologies
last name is Jones.
yeah, I know that, but it just occurred to me that was Jones in the
in the comics.
comics.
You didn't get that?
No, I didn't get that.
I got something you didn't get. Seriously.
Not till just now. I even knew that Bowie's name was really Jones.
I'm glad to enlighten you.
I knew that. I just put two and two together until just now.
2 + 2 = chair. So our apologies to all of our faithful who went running out to acquire copies of Dracula. And
We hope you enjoyed the film as Dracula and weren't
Probably
looking
why
for
they didn't
Sylvester.
send any feedback. It's nothing to do with our
nothing to do with
That's not our
mailbox.
inbox. He wasn't in this.
Was Sylvester McCoy even in this?
It's almost blink and you miss him.
So, somewhere in my head, there are 2 old
I had-
Muppets angrily cracking away on a keyboard. And he goes, no, there's 2 Ks in Knucklehead.
I had intended to go back and watch this again just to time the amount of time that Sylvester McCoy's actually on screen. And I guarantee it would not have exceeded 3.5 minutes in total.
In total.
Even though there are a lot of
Yeah.
different scenes that you can recall that he's in. He's in it for like less than 30 seconds each
Mel
time.
watched it with me, and she was kind of hither and yon with her attention span, and I kept saying, oh, there he is, and she'd look up and he was gone.
It almost becomes
Who,
a game.
Sylvester?
There he
Yeah.
is.
Oh, there he is. Where? No, you missed him again.
It can't be a drinking game, though.
No.
Never
you-
finish. You never finish a shot.
Nope.
Well, take a shot every time he
Okay,
appears.
yeah,
Then
And then the extended one you chug.
So
take a shot
by
every
the
time
end
he
of the
appears.
game, so by the end of the game, well, I got a slight buzz.
You take a shot every time he appears, and you drink a beer every time he has a line. That might work.
So you drink like 3 beers.
We had to Count Dracula and whatever,
because the running up the stairs was all one line.
whatever incomprehensible yelling that was, and then
Well, he was calling Donald Pleasant's character's name.
and I can't hold the horse.
Dr. Ivy? Dr.
Dr.
Stewart.
Seward.
Where did I get Ivy and Neely?
I have no idea.
Dr. Stewart, yeah. He was Seward. He kept calling Dr. Seward, Dr. Seward.
They didn't give him a lot of R's.
And then his final line after this, I don't have the key.
Yeah.
Throughout history, one name has inspired both horror and desire.
Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester McCoy.
Anything else we can say about this movie? It was a good movie.
The movie is brilliant. Definitely, probably. I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen the original Dracula. I think
brilliant.
it's brilliant.
Good.
I think it's brilliant. It was directed by the guy that did War Games, and it has a John Williams score.
Brilliant. Dracula.
It's the guy who did Short Circuit.
Short Circuit. No, not brilliant.
Frank Langella's hair.
Brilliant.
So, apparently, like Bela Lugosi, Frank Langella never wore fangs for the role. You never saw him with fangs come down.
Yeah, that's true.
He always stated he considered it a compliment when the fans of the film would comment on them anyway. He was so menacing, he didn't need the fangs.
I'll say something that it screams hokey in that 70s
I assume
way.
I didn't see him because I kept looking at his hair.
It's mesmerized by the hair.
It's hokey in that 70s cinema way, but the seduction scene, the way that was shot was mesmerizing.
Yeah, I would agree.
That was phenomenal. All the red swirly smoke effects and lasers. And the disco ball. The disco ball was a nice touch.
But it was definitely spotlighting.
I don't know. I really, really liked it. I'd go so far as to say this is probably my favorite Dracula story. But it's been so long since I've seen the original.
I'm with
Lugosi.
Keith. The original Dracula is number one. This one ties with the Hammer horror film.
So where do you put the Spanish Dracula?
Well, it gets marks for pretty much looking like the Bela Lugosi version.
Technically, shouldn't it be number one? No. Shouldn't it be a tie? Shouldn't it be an asterisk on your list?
But
then after that, no, see, I think it's even lower than Nosferatu. I love Nosferatu.
I don't see. I know it's Dracula, but I don't count it as Dracula. I just count it as a vampire film.
Ironically, it's
probably more accurate too.
It is. It follows Bram Stoker's novel closer than Dracula does.
Yeah.
Than the Bela Lugosi version. So,
but I just don't think of it as Dracula because it's Nosferatu. It's not Dracula himself.
Because they couldn't use the name.
Yeah, because they couldn't get the rights. Well, and the
yet they still got sued.
The look of him is so different too. I think that's part of why I'm blanking on. I know the actor
Max
name.
Schreck.
Max Schreck. That wasn't the character though, right? That was just the actor. For Nosferatu?
Right.
Oh, no. Yes, you're right. I can't remember.
Because Max Schreck's vampire looks so different than any of the other Draculas is part of why I also separate that one. Yeah. It's not the suave, debonair Dracula, the lover.
Which I always thought was funny that Christopher Walken's character's name in Batman Returns was Max Schreck. It was like, are you trying to draw a comparison that this guy's a vampire because he's sucking the lifeblood out of Gotham?
Probably. Or was it just he's a big fan of Nosferatu and wanted a nod?
I don't know.
Orlok. Count Orlok.
Yes.
Which we'll revisit in the Doctor Who audio, The Beast of Warlock. No, I'm just kidding. No, they are not relation.
What we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, unfortunately, coming up on the schedule, we have just as much Sylvester McCoy as what you saw this week in Dracula, which is to say not very much. On the schedule for this week, we actually have less Sylvester McCoy coming up on the schedule.
On the immediate schedule.
In order to be full disclosure, we have less Sylvester McCoy coming up. No, that's not true. We have
in a couple of weeks we have more, but not much. But in the immediate future,
what do we have coming up on
in the immediate
schedule?
future? We could say we actually have less Sylvester McCoy because there wasn't any Sylvester McCoy. There was Sylvester McCoy.
In the immediate future,
So, Sean, what do we have coming up on the schedule?
Next week, there's no.
So this week for Friday Night Who, we had a request for some funky Pertwee, so we're going to do Claws of Axos.
Who requested the funky Pertwee?
James, Shock the Monkey. He's like, I haven't seen any funky Pertwee. This was the man who complained. Seems like all you guys do is Pertwee and Smith episodes for Friday Night Who. So I left him off the schedule for a while, and then he complained, I don't see any Pertwee on the schedule.
This is another one we haven't done since 2011.
I realized that after you tweeted that out. Correct me if I'm not crazy, right? That we hadn't done.
You're crazy, but...
Well, I'm not... Well, I can't even say delusional.
You were not mistaken.
I was not mistaken that we had not done Delta since...
The very first...
Way back when.
In the 7 weeks
That's
for
what I
7
thought,
doctors.
but was it John?
Dan.
Sorry, Dan. I keep thinking your name's John for some reason. Dan was so convinced that we had done Delta and the Bannermen more recently that he had me questioning it, going, well, maybe we didn't. I didn't write it down.
According to our website archives, we didn't.
Yeah. I didn't think so. And that's what
we've always done Friday Night Who posts since we started doing Friday Night Who.
The 7 weeks for 7 doctors was kind of the short, 3 weeks after we started Friday Night Who officially. And that was the first run-through for Delta and the Bannermen. So it's been a while. Also, interestingly enough, part of the 7 weeks for 7 doctors way back then in 2011 was Claws of Axos. That was the third week.
I thought it was
Doctor.
after.
I don't think so. Oh, wait. No, maybe you're right. Maybe we did Claws of Axos first, and then we came back to it later. It doesn't matter. And anyway, we're doing it again this week. Glenn's banging his head against his microphone over here. That slow thud, rhythmic noise you hear. Which really doesn't matter either because we've already reviewed that story. So...
I don't know. We might have some fresh thoughts on it. Because we've already tackled it. Our show next week. Will you just be quiet over there? Just sit in your corner and be quiet. He is quiet. He's just making faces.
Chew your cookie. We're going to do...
Checkers.
Renfield and his roaches. We're going to do some more Candy Jar books. We are going to discuss and review the Lethbridge Stewart short, The Cult of the Grinning Man. We will have our spoiler-filled book review of Beast of Fang Rock. And then we are also going to do the 10th Doctor Titan Comics series, which I believe is 11 through number 15. So it's all books next week. Following is Scream of the Shalka for Friday Night Who on the 29th. And then we will be starting Season 2 of Big Finish's 8th Doctor Adventures, including episodes 1 and 2, which is Dead London and Max Warp. And then just to go ahead and flesh it out, something we have done relatively frequently since 2011 is Doctor Who the movie coming back to Friday Night Who, but it's been about a year.
You'll see a little bit more Sylvester McCoy.
And you'll see a little bit more Sylvester McCoy in that one. But it's been probably about a year and a half since we last did that one, so it'll be fun to see it again because it's always a favorite. And then our Beyond the Doctor with Paul McGann. And a 9th Doctor alternate, Richard E. Grant, because we'll be reviewing Withnail and I, and both of them are in that one. So, and of course, more schedule on the website than what I gave you, but that's just kind of the next couple of weeks.
All right, is there anything else we need to touch on before we close this show?
I don't think so.
That's going to do it for this week. Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.